Coach Prime Season 2, Episode 1. We're going to talk about what I really liked about it because it was really good. But also some things I'm not sure that it's the best. We're going to talk about it right after the bumper. Stay tuned. What is going on, everybody? What is going on, everybody? My name is JeffLightsyJr. here with the Black Boss channel and Victory Formation. Thank you guys for tuning in. Be sure to hit that thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe, and the notification bell because we upload every single day. Now, Coach Prime, Episode 1, Season 2. This is the recap. This is what we like. This is what we love. This is what we hated about Coach Prime Season 2. Now, for those of you who don't know, Coach Prime is the documentary series put out by Barstool following the Jackson State football program and their leader and head coach, Deion Sanders, aka Coach Prime, hence the title. Now, in Coach Prime, Season 1, it followed Jackson State throughout their spring 2021 season. It was the first year of Deion Sanders being a head coach of a football program or of a college football program. It saw the trials and tribulations of the Jackson State program. It saw some players who lived up to expectations, some players who were ineligible, some other players who did this and did that. And, and really mainly showcased the lack of funding or the bad conditions that some of the field and the things, the uniform equipment and things like that Deion Sanders was able to bring in money, bring in sponsorship, bring in all kinds of things to kind of upgrade that stuff. And so in the first episode of Season 2, it talked about how they were able to upgrade the practice field. It talks about how they were able to get new uniforms. It talks about how they were able to revitalize the Orange Blossom Classic after being gone for 43 years, I want to say. And so all of that stuff was cool. And then especially when they focused in on the Orange Blossom Classic, they spoke about how all the celebrities come to Jackson State game. They spoke about how the Orange Blossom Classic was giving not only Jackson State, but FAMU also a bowl game, FBS bowl game experience. And that was all those are things that I love. I love talking to Willie Simmons. I love talking to the director of the Orange Blossom Classic. I love seeing that the upgrades and the better things that are taking place. I speak about all the time how Jackson State is doing things that are different for the rest of the HBCUs, that is allowing the HBCUs across the country to continue to excel or to switch in mindset to raise the bar. I talk about how the business of HBCUs have changed since Deion Sanders took over Jackson State and also since Dr. McClellan has been the commissioner of the SWAC. I talk about all those things, and they showed some of those things on display. I also like the interaction between Coach Prime and his players, both during the documentary and post-documentary when they did the after show, all that kind of stuff. There were some things that I didn't like, though. There were some things that stood out. I think I was watching Off Script. Scotty, shout out to Scotty. He had his live show because I had to catch Coach Prime. I wasn't able to watch it live. I had to catch it way later. But I did watch some Off Scripts after the Coach Prime documentary, his recap. And I heard some of you all call in and say you didn't like the way Coach Prime spoke to his son, Shiloh, called him an idiot, saying all kinds of stuff to him. And some of y'all were like, yo, that ain't cool, whatever. Like, how would you feel? And Scotty was talking about yo, I would never say that to my kids. I don't have children. But one thing I will say is, for someone just watching it and you don't know the dynamic of someone's relationship with their father, mother, whoever, it's easy to be like, yo, that ain't cool. It's super easy to be like, yo, that is inappropriate. That's not cool. You shouldn't call your child an idiot, etc., etc. But what I will say, growing up with siblings and my parents, and I have parents that probably have a parental style closer to Deion Sanders, is sometimes you get called an idiot. Sometimes you get called an idiot. Sometimes you get called things. You get called names, especially when you're grown. Shiloh's grown. He's 20, 21 years old. He's still a young man, but he is very much grown. And I didn't take too much offense to that. What I didn't like, I don't like it's only 6 episodes because I don't feel like you can tell the totality of the season in 6 episodes. I don't see how you can do that. It was a 12-game season or 13-game season. And then I feel like you have to have a whole episode dedicated strictly to the SWAC championship or the Celebration Bowl. And so that lets me know that something's going to get cut short. Something isn't going to be right. And I know even when I was listening to Scotty's Collins show, some of you were like, yo, they're going to probably bypass the Celebration Bowl, which, this isn't a documentary to big up South Carolina State and shout out to South Carolina State. This is a documentary to highlight Jackson State and to highlight the things that Jackson State are doing. And I know for a fact, well, I imagine that in somewhere in these 6 episodes, they're going to feature Travis Hunter. And so that means, lead you in and get you ready for either whether they record in the spring or the fall season. And so that lets me know, because they lost in episode 2, they kind of previewed their game against ULM. And I'm just curious to see like what takes place. They left alone the Dylan Spencer thing, and I don't mind that because he is now on another team. That's cool because they kind of just didn't want to touch that. How the fact that he left during the season, the fact that he's now back at Mizzou, and I understand all of that. I want to make it clear though. I can't wait to see who all they highlight. I love that they showed the growth of Aubrey Miller. I love that they showed the growth of Aubrey Miller because Aubrey Miller was someone, in the first season, he didn't look the best. He didn't come across the camera in the best light. He didn't come across the camera in the best light in the first season. And then as we watched the fall season, he excelled. He led the SWAC in tackles. And so therefore, he saw that last season. He saw what he did on camera during Coach Prime season 1. And he turned it up a notch as far as his maturity, his play on the field. And, if you guys follow Aubrey Miller, you understand that he graduated. So he got his grades up. So he is now a college graduate. And so I love showing the growth of that. I love hearing from his father, talking about, him excelling in the classroom, talking about the struggles that he had coming to Jackson State. Because that's the thing, a lot with Jackson State, and it's not a problem, but we get a lot of the glitz and glamour. We get a lot of the, glitz and glamour and the things that kind of like, yo, what happened to that? Like, what happened to Jason Phillips, who was featured in this documentary? They never really spoke about that. And what happened to Jason Phillips? He's not there anymore. What happened with TC Taylor calling plays? You brought in Brett Bartolone. They don't really speak about those kind of things. They kind of like mention it, right? But they give you the glitz, glamour, shebang, big shebang. And they kind of like, sweep under the table, some of the, I'm like, what happened with that? You don't really get the background information on a lot of things. And hey, that's how they choose to run their program, and that's totally fine. The only problem is sometimes Coach Prime comes across and says, we're 100% transparent, and you're not always, So I get that. But Coach Prime season 2, episode 1 was awesome. I want to hear more. Obviously it was just one episode, but I can't wait to hear more from Keith Corbin. Would love to hear more from Keith Corbin. It seemed like they featured mainly in the first episode Shador, Nugget, Aubrey Miller, Shiloh. And see, the thing is, there's nothing wrong with that. And it was just the first episode. But we get a lot of Shador, Shiloh, Nugget all the time. We get a lot of that all the time. We hear from those same 4, 5 guys all the time, whether it's, via Deion Sanders, Tony Gray is in there sometimes, whether it's the pregame show, the people that have like locked in access to Jackson State seem to show off and highlight and talk to the same core group of guys. I would love to hear from a Cameron Simon Craig. I would love to hear what he's got to say. I would love to hear from Trevante Rucker. He was a highly ranked guy, 3-4-star guy on some platforms coming to Jackson State. I know they're going to feature Malachi Wideman. Hell, he led the SWAC in touchdowns, and we talked to Malachi. And Malachi, first of all, Malachi is well-spoken. So if you don't put Malachi on camera, you're doing yourself and your fans a disservice. If anybody watched my interview, you can go watch my interview with Malachi Wideman. I'll put it up right here. Go listen to that. Listen to how well-spoken this dude is. This dude is mature. This dude is eloquent. This dude is educated. This dude is it. So if you don't put Malachi on camera, Dana Beers, Barstool, Coach Prime, you guys are doing yourself and your team a disservice by not having that young man, not to mention he did lead the SWAC in touchdowns. So you got to have Malachi on there. But, feature Malachi. Feature some of these guys. We talk about how bad this offensive line is. Let's talk to some of them. I would love to hear about some of them because the weakest link on this team, both noted by Deion Sanders himself and and everybody else that watches the games, is the offensive line. How do some of these guys feel about being called garbage, being called trash, being saying they need to be replaced, et cetera, et cetera? I like to hear from that. I get it. I get it. You're not trying to make it, trying to blow it up or whatever. But, that offensive line, as bad as it was, or as bad as people say it was, it did help you win 11 games. It helped you win 11 games. Did help Shedeur get all his accolades and all his NIL deals. I'd like to hear from some of them, especially the ones who we all think are going to be replaced. You brought in 6 linemen, so you expect some of them. There's only 5 starting spots, and Tony Gray, a lot of folks seem to think he's going to keep his spot. So I'd like to hear from some of the guard, center, tackle, guards, the 2 guards in the center, who most of us think will be replaced by guys like Evan Henry and Zach Bro, et cetera, et cetera. I would love to hear that. That's just a personal thing. But I do want to hear more from outside the core 4. That's Shiloh, Shedeur, Nugget, and Aubrey Miller. I'd love to hear more from outside the core 4. That's just a personal thing. I'd love to see what Keith Corbin's got to say. They featured Warren Newman and Keith a little bit, but let's get an interview with one of those guys. Let's get Trevante Rucker, who was a highly ranked guy, in on this. Let's talk to some of these dudes who played a role on this team last year. Once again, it's only been 1 episode, so I'm not gonna put too much slack on it, but I definitely want to see what direction they take this. And I'm curious. Obviously, we won't know this for the next couple of weeks, though. I'm curious on how they do the Celebration Bowl. I'm curious on how they depict the Celebration Bowl, because it would be amazing. It would be really, really good to show them getting their tail whooped, to show that he listened to what Coach Prime, the coaches, whoever was saying at halftime, and then because at halftime it was close, and then second half they got spanked. And you know what I'm saying? It's just what happened. Pause. And so it would be a triumphant story to show we got the brakes beat off of us. We got the brakes beat off of us, but that is what's fueling us for the next season. Because it's the truth. We talked to Malachi, and I didn't harp on the Celebration Bowl because it's been so many months. It's been a few months, and he talked about it a couple other times. But he talked about how they still think about it, how they still talk about it, how it still motivates them to be even better next season. So, those are just some things I want to see moving forward in Coach Prime Season 2. Leave your thoughts in the comments. What do you want to see from Coach Prime Season 2 moving forward? It had a lot of good stuff. In the first episode, so much good stuff, talking about the growth of the program, the growth of the players, the growth of what's taking place. But there's some things that I need to make sure that's in it. You know what I'm saying? I need to hear from some of those guys. Also, somebody needs to ask Deion Sanders, as Coach Prime, is Gilly going to be allowed on the sideline anymore? Is Gilly, because Gilly, he got the penalty in the Orange Blossom Classic, and Gilly be doing some stuff on the sideline. They let him on the sideline Celebration Bowl, but that is going to be cool, man. I cannot wait to see. Shout out to the Jackson State football program for putting this thing together, because it is an amazing project, and they are, they're superstars. Their players are superstars. Their coaches are superstars. It's good to hear from them, but I do want to hear from some of those unsung heroes. Cameron Silman-Craig coming in, starting as a true freshman. Trevante Rucker. A lot of people hype up Travis and Kevin Coleman and even Shedeur in the last class. But in the last class, people forget, Quay Davis was the highest ranked recruit. He was ineligible for whatever reasons. He kind of redshirted. But Trevante Rucker was right there at the top. Trevante Rucker was one of the high, 3-4 star, depending on what service you use, 4-star on most of them, out of Florida. Him and Katron Evans. Want to hear from those guys. They were freshmen. They contributed. Hopefully we get that chance to hear from them moving forward. Leave your thoughts in the chat. Leave your thoughts in the comments down below. Once again, my name is JeffLightsYJr with the Black Boss channel. Subscribe to the Black Boss channel right there, and to my YouTube channel at JeffLightsYJr. Also, on Twitter and Instagram, I have these conversations there first. On Twitter at JLightsy7. On Twitter at JLightsy7. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hit that thumbs up button on your way out, and I will see you next time. Peace.